everybody, this is Rick from the Team Powersports Service Department, and today we're going to talk about some maintenance tips that you can do before you head out on your next ride. So the first thing we're going to talk about is proper clutch adjustment. Your clutch cable needs to be adjusted properly because the clutch will wear out on its own and you have to adjust it. Now this only applies to cable operated clutches. It will not apply to hydraulic clutches. So if you have a master cylinder reservoir up here, it does not apply to you. This is an improperly adjusted cable clutch. Do you see the gap there? That's a large gap and it should not be that way. We're going to adjust it by turning the thumb wheel and checking for a smaller gap. As a rule of thumb, the thickness of a nickel put in the slot on its side is all you really need. About right there is where the tension begins and where the clutch is properly adjusted. Okay, so next let's talk tire pressures. All motorcycles have a recommended tire pressure set by the manufacturers, and they give you a range that you can use to better suit the riding condition and the load of the motorcycle. And it's perfectly safe to experiment. Usually 2 to 3 pounds, either up or down, is a safe number. But depending on the type of tire you have, the type of luggage or weight you're carrying, whether it's a passenger or the temperature outside, whether it's summer or winter, is going to determine the actual number that you may want to stick with. So make sure that when you're checking your tire pressure, you keep in mind to start off with the manufacturer's recommended pressure, and don't be afraid to experiment a couple pounds up or a couple pounds down depending on loading and weight. Okay, the next thing we're going to talk about is checking oil levels the proper way. There's usually 2 types of ways to check the oil level on most motorcycles. A dipstick that shows you the level on the dipstick itself, or a sight glass that shows you the level on a little window on the side of the motor. Now, one thing you want to remember is that you want to make sure that the motorcycle's oil is up to temperature, because fluids expand with heat, and that will give you a much better reading of where the proper level is. First thing we're going to do is look at the dipstick way of checking your oil. Let's assume that we've already gotten our engine up to temperature and we're ready to check the level of oil. Now, please make sure that you look at your owner's manual, because some bikes will have to be on a center stand or a side stand or standing straight up and down. In this particular case, this bike can be on its side stand when we check the level with the dipstick. That happens to be the oil fill plug and the dipstick as well. We're going to unscrew it. We're going to pull it out and wipe the oil off. And notice where the crosshatch area is. The upper line is the maximum fill. The lower end of the crosshatch area obviously is the lowest you ever want to have your oil. We're going to put it back in, and in some cases the manual will tell you to screw it in all the way or just dip it in and pull it right back out to get the proper level. Please consult your manual, because that is critical. In this particular case, we screwed it in all the way, and now we're going to get the measurement. We want the oil level to be somewhere in the upper reaches of the crosshatch area, either on the upper end up to the max fill line or in the middle. The lower you go, the more risk you take of starving your bike for oil. The next type of oil measurement we're going to check on is the sight glass. Now, some motorcycles will have a sight glass either on the left or right side of the engine case. Some are easier to see than others. This one's actually fairly simple to look at. But you will notice that there is a small upper mark and then one lower mark on the sight glass. Some sight glasses will actually have the mark inside the glass. The point here is to make sure that when the bike oil level is measured, it's somewhere in the middle or near the upper line, never above, and certainly never below or not visible in the sight glass. The easiest way to do this is with a bike on a center stand, but if you don't have a bike with a center stand, you're either going to have to stand the bike up on your own or have a friend help you out. In this particular case, I'm able to balance the bike and see the sight glass very easily. The goal here is to stand the bike up as vertical as possible, give the oil a couple seconds to settle in, and then take a good look and see where the level is. This one seems to be near the upper end of the midway point, which is good. Once you're satisfied that you've gotten a good visual on the oil level, go ahead and put the bike back on its side stand, or have somebody help you take it off the center stand. And that is it. This is the easiest way to check the oil on a sight glass type motorcycle. So once again, thank you for tuning in, and remember, there's a lot of things that you can do to maintain your bike and keep it on the road safely, but then there's a lot of things that you may want to come see us at Team Powersports to take care of the motorcycle for you. Thanks for watching.